you guys are both quite passionate about mental health, and it's something that you mentioned before the podcast. How do you guys become passionate about something like that, and how does that was there any kind of inspiration or any story behind your passion in that area?
It's just personal experience. Yes. So mental health has always been something close to my heart. And I can say the same for Adel as well. Through both personal experience and what we've seen in our peers around us. So we had a mutual friend of ours pass away when we were all about 23 years old. And at 23 years old, no one knows how to handle it. No one knows how to talk about it. And so you have to figure it out as you go along. And you can't compartmentalize it really. It affects everything. And when those kind of experiences can't start to stack up, when those stack with stressors that you acquire from the workplace, from your family life, from your personal circumstances or whatever you have to be going through, you don't fit the mold of what is expected in a corporate environment. And so it becomes your responsibility to figure out how to take on what you can take on and set what's appropriate for your own boundaries, at least from a work setting. On a personal side, that's a whole other question that you need to figure out.
Just to add to that, and this is like a personal story as well. But so when it happened, and this is back in 2016, and I remember because it was towards the start of the year and it's burnt into my memory a bit. And it's one of those things where, as a 23-year-old, you go through quite a significant amount of change at that point in your life, right? Because it's the kind of the cusp of maybe your early 20s into your mid 20s, and you're going from uni to a full-time job and things like that. So I was in my final year of university and I was doing my final year project, and I was dealing with a lot of personal issues at the same time, for a lot of family issues. And I had all of those things build on each other, on and on and on and on. And then when my friend passed away, and Long is his name, when he passed away, that was kind of like if you're playing a game of Jenga, and I know this is probably a bad kind of a metaphor, but you're playing a game of Jenga and someone's gone for the bottom piece and just yanked it out and the whole thing falls over, right? And that's basically what it felt like for a long time. And, Eric can attest to this as well. Like I went through quite a significant amount of problems at that point because I was like, work is stressing me out. I was working at Apple for quite a long, like I was 4 days at Apple, 3 days at uni, didn't really have time to myself, had a lot of other stuff going on at the same time. And then all of that combined with, the trauma that you go through once, a close friend of yours passes away, and it breaks you. And you just think, okay, well, what do I do now? I don't really care about anything. I don't really want to reach out to anyone. I just want to sit at home and not do anything. But and I think that this is why mental health is such an important topic for the both of us, is that we know what that's like. And to be completely candid, I've had anxiety from back then as well. And I've continued to have it for quite a while after that. And I was diagnosed with it and I took medication for it as well. And we know what it's like to be in that position. And we know exactly what it's like to feel a bit lost and a bit hopeless. And it's that, and that's just really the reason why we really got into mental health afterwards, because we were like, if someone else goes through something like this, and if we can help just one other person, you've brought a lot more net good into the world, haven't you? Because you've really helped someone to dig themselves out of that kind of hole that, they might have settled into. And yeah, it's just one of the reasons why we're just so passionate about mental health. Just that and other things, and friends around us also going through similar issues as well. And it's been a very interesting experience looking at that.
And there's not a lot of spaces in the discourse around the startup space, around hustle culture. There's not a lot of space in that for mental health. You look on Instagram on corporate accounts of startups, or you look on LinkedIn, and everything's shiny. Everyone wants to put the best foot forward. And these are people that go through things, and to deny that is to misrepresent, I guess, the reality of what it means to work.
Mm.
Yeah,
People don't like to talk about that.
they don't. No, exactly. And it's just one of those things, I guess. This is going on off on a bit of a tangent, I guess. But when you look at things like social media and stuff like that, and you look at the very curated feeds of people. You say, oh, this person's killing it. They got a job at so and so, or this person's killing it. They got married, or they bought a car, or they bought a house, and other stuff. But it's a veneer on a lot of stuff that's happened in their personal lives, and I could attest to that because if you looked at my LinkedIn at the time that all of that was happening, they're like, oh, he's in this degree, he's going to get a job here, everything's looking pretty cool for him. But internally, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm stuck. All this stuff has happened to me. And it's just something that we don't talk about a lot.
Yeah. So to take it back to the topic at hand, I guess, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, and you start a new job and it's full time, it's a massive period of upheaval. And, you go through the process of, I finish uni, I'm going to get a job, everything's sorted, just try and keep it together and do well at my job. But there's a whole other side to it. You have to manage that personally. And navigating that change can be really hard, especially if you have other stuff going on.
Yeah, that's a great story. Is there any things that you guys are involved with, or any things that you do to you continue that involvement and interest in this mental health space, and really try to help people as they go through that transition, starting your first job and switching that? Is there anything that you guys are involved with, or anything that you do to help with that?
So at work, I'm part of what's called the Real Mates program, and it's not just Microsoft specific. It's actually a program that was developed outside of Microsoft by someone who used to work there and then left to pursue it. But yep, that's definitely something that I pursue. But even from a personal perspective, it's just a matter of reaching out to people and
Mm.
having those uncomfortable conversations. Because the worst that could possibly happen is you reach out to someone, you say, how are you actually going? Is everything okay? And they just might be like, yep, everything's perfectly fine. Thank you for asking. But occasionally there'll be that one person who'll be like, no, everything isn't okay. And do you mind if we talk about it for a couple of minutes? And that's that opportunity. That's the opportunity of being able to say, hey, I'm in a position where I can talk to this person and let them know about my experiences. And they're in a position they've put themselves out there and they say, yeah, I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to talk. And you might, avoid a situation like what happened to us when we were 23 with one of our friends. Like, it's really just a matter of making yourself just a little bit uncomfortable, but you don't know what you could do. You might end up saving a life.
Mm.
And that seems like a pretty stark juxtaposition to talking about how do I get my first job?
Yeah,
Like
it really does.
mentorship.
But
But
look,
it needs to be part of the conversation.
it does. Yeah. And look, part of Mentorfold isn't just the fact that you're mentoring people through their careers, but there's also other problems that arise. And one of those big issues that happens when you look for a job, or you move to another job, or you're not sure what's happening, is your mental health. And it's really good to be able to talk to someone and say, hey, I'm struggling mentally with this decision I have to make, or this thing that's happened at work. And just being able to talk to someone about it is so much more than what used to happen back in the day. And that's one of the things I really love about kind of our generation and the generation that follows us, is that we just seem more open to talking about mental health and talking to people about it. Whereas you didn't see the kind of thing, 10 years ago where people would just be, hey, I'm not doing so well, or I'm going through this. And it's good. It's a lot of positive change that I really enjoy.
Um, Specifically, I guess one of the initiatives I've been involved in recently, there's there's an app called Mindcare Club that's currently it's grown over the last year and a half around Southeast Asia, specifically the Philippines. It's a telehealth counseling app. Counselors register on it and people sign up and they can go on their phones and just call someone. I think it's like a subscription. So actually it was started by another friend of mine who also died, but that was his legacy. And that was something I helped him plan out a little bit. So that's something I try to stay involved in and keep tabs on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great point, and I think it's something that like you guys have both said, that needs to be discussed and like kept in the dialogue, right? Especially when, let's say, you go into a startup or you're working at a consulting company or wherever it is, and you're working 60 hours a week or whatever, and you're really grinding. You want to like you're saying, Eric, put your best foot forward and show the world what you can do, but you don't want that to come at the cost of your mental health, and really like keeping that kind of idea of career, doing well in your career, being physically healthy and mentally healthy, and that's what makes a good career almost, is having all those things in good condition, right? Because one of those not quite there makes things difficult. And it's important that, like you guys were saying, those people that, it's hard to get that out of someone, right? It's important that you check in on your friends and make sure that they're doing okay. Yeah, I think it's a really special story, and I think it's important that, like, it's great to hear that you guys are both involved in things like that to improve the dialogue around this kind of thing. Because as much has been done in the last few years, and like you were saying, Aiden, our generation is pretty good at it, but there's still work to be done, I think, around even just people being more open with sharing their mental health, and it not being seen as this weak thing to do, to share how you're going. Because I think sometimes it can be like, well, I'm not a tough guy if I tell people that I'm not having a good day, or my home life isn't very good, or things like that. So yeah, I think it's really cool that you guys are helping to create that space and helping to improve that.